words fall through me and always fool me, and I can't react. And games that never amount to more than they're meant will play themselves out. Take this sinking boat and point it home. We've still got time. Raise your hopeful voice. You have a choice. You made it now. And that's how we begin. Welcome to the super awkward Funcast. You're listening to the super awkward Funcast. Yeah. Yep. This is the super awkward Funcast that was falling slowly from the hit movie Once, which was starring the Swell season, which is unfortunately no more because one of them sadly has died. Shout out to Glenn Hansard's family and friends who are having a very horrible start to August. And also kind of a good one because there's a lot of love out there for Glenn Hansard and a lot of hate too, but we're not going to get too much into that because I've seen some misinformation and stuff, some like rage posting and engagement farming on Twitter, and it's just so disturbing because that's the new currency. And then there will be actual currency, but we'll get to that in another episode because we are just talking about the AIgorithm today. Thank you very much. I'm actually going to Dublin next month. That's where I will be, and we'll probably delay, or maybe I can do an episode in Ireland. Do you guys want an episode with bad audio, worse audio than usual, in Ireland? Because I'm not bringing, there's no fucking way I can bring my arm, but I can bring my mic. I can bring my mic, but I can't bring my arm, so it's gonna be a little different if I do it. Arm meaning my mic stand, that I use as an arm. If you want a Dublin episode, I can do a Dublin episode. I will be pretty tired from the flight, so it will be a little late if you want that. I can give it to you on the 3rd or the 4th, which would be like the first day proper. No, not the 3rd, unless I do it at night and I'm tired as fuck. Do you want me to do a tired as fuck episode on the 3rd of September, or do you want to wait until the 4th when I'm properly rested in Dublin and can maybe give you some insights, or maybe even wait until like before I leave and then give you a lot of insights into what I've seen and not show you anything. Well, I guess I could show you stuff, but talk about what I've seen and what I've done. Maybe like a castle that I've gone to. I hope I get to go to a castle. I haven't really looked into that. I really need to prepare for this trip a little more. But yeah, so the Super Awkward Funcast is on Elle Latham page, my page. Recently, we've uploaded 72 into the archive, the Funkive, which you will find in the playlists here. I also had a wonderful concert experience you can experience with me at the Hollywood Bowl. No promo. And this is how it looks now. They've changed the way this is organized. I like it better though. You can see all my playlists here. I even have some music playlists that are really fun. So to give you an idea of what we have planned in the future, we being me, I am giving you a little sneak peek right here that I have a private playlist, my fave one-hit wonder album songs from 1973 to 2006. I stopped at 20 years ago because that's when everything went downhill and Spotify existed. So the system is different for calculating hit songs. So I don't think it's fair to judge the new system against the Billboard system and everything. So I basically am doing a review series very soon when the weather allows of my favorite hit song albums that, you know, from artists that are known for one hit. I tried my best. I know I'm going to fuck it up somewhere to show you songs that are legit one-hit wonders and explore the other songs in the album and see what else they had. Because I don't think anyone's done that yet, so I'm going to try it. And it's going to be called, I don't want to tell you what it's called, but I'm going to do that, and I'm going to shoot it or record it soon, and it'll be pretty thorough. Copyright will come for me, I'm sure, but I'm not making any money off of it, so they can come and, you know, hang around. Happy to have you. But it won't make any difference. If you want to know all about the Blake Lively situation, you go to the Blake Lively v. Wayfarer unsealed text and email timeline playlist. That's really involved. We got radio plays over here, and again we have the Funcast, which you can click on here. It has 79 videos because I have a 4-part episode in there, so it's going to ultimately be, I think I have more than one of those, but it's going to be ultimately 72 episodes so far, and we're going up to 80, I think, so we're almost done with it, and so that's really exciting. Anyway, check that out. Let's get into it. This is called AIgorithm and Blues for a reason, and that's how I'm feeling. I don't know about you guys, but the AIgorithm is giving me the blues. It really is. It's all that we have now, and let's go over it. Like, you'll see in my thumbnail, which is not AI, that this picture is in there, and that I got it from this website, this article from arteba.org. I just looked up AI algorithm, and found it. Okay, so this is from 2024. So this is how it started. So let's get into it. AI algorithms, what they are and how they work. October 18, 2024. I don't know who wrote it. Okay. This is from the Artificial Intelligence Board of America. Yes, that exists. I found that out. Artificial intelligence algorithms. Oh, okay. And I have to do a preface that my voice is going to sound different. If you missed the last episode, or the one before that, I think, I have a jaw misalignment issue that has occurred on the 30th of May and has just gotten worse. So I have lisps sometimes now that I have to deal with, which is not fun, but hopefully is not too distracting for you. Working on my dental shit. I just had a big cleaning, and now I gotta wait for my dreaded oral surgery on my wisdom teeth. Gotta get those out. Not gonna be pleasant. Then after that, I gotta go back to work because we're on a hiatus. And then I go to Ireland. And then I come back, and eventually I have to get fillings. So fun times. That's what happens when you wait 20 plus years to go to the dentist. Fun fact. All right, back to this article. Artificial intelligence algorithms are the base of intelligent systems. You never notice how many S's there are until you can't say them properly. Then you notice. Which make it possible for machines to learn from the data, decide, and solve problems. With the growth of AI within multiple fields, including medicine and banking, the characteristics of such algorithms have become crucial to comprehend. This article focuses on algorithms in artificial intelligence, categorizing them, stating the most common uses and their general working, which provides insight into their role in the modern world driven by technology. The foundation of artificial intelligence. Algorithms are the basic building blocks that allow machines to replicate what can be defined in part by human intelligence and perform tasks independently. These algorithms work by receiving and analyzing inputs and producing outputs based on them. Their success depends on the compatibility of input data and the models upon which their functioning is based. Critical aspects of how these algorithms function include data input. Algorithms need excellent and relevant data to learn from. The broader and more diverse the feeding data, the higher the indicated algorithm. Model training. It involves tweaking the algorithm with detailed statistical strategies to ensure it gives precise predictions, and this can employ methods such as gradient descent. Feedback loop. Algorithms evolve since they can be adjusted based on user or client feedback. Knowledge of such components is necessary for using artificial intelligence algorithms for different purposes such as medicine and finance. Types of AI algorithms. A diverse ecosystem. Artificial intelligence algorithms can be grouped into various categories depending on their learning methods and purposes. Utilizing their potential requires comprehending these AI algorithm categories over multiple industries. Types of AI algorithms. Supervised learning algorithms, linear regression, decision trees. 2. Unsupervised learning algorithms. K-means clustering, principal component analysis, PCA. 3. Reinforcement learning algorithms, Q-learning, deep Q networks. 3. Neural networks and deep learning, convolutional neural networks, recurrent neural networks. And then they go over these algorithms. 1. Supervised learning algorithms. These algorithms learn with labeled data sets and demand input-output pairs for their training. In applications where historical data is readily available, these algorithms frequently produce predictions or classifications from that data. Common examples include linear regression, applied for forecasting continuous values related to real estate prices due to several features. Decision trees, a flexible approach for classification and regression tasks, is commonly used in finance to assess creditworthiness. 2. Unsupervised learning algorithms. Unlike supervised learning, which needs labels, unsupervised learning attempts to uncover patterns in unlabeled data. These methods can be highly beneficial for shaping exploratory analysis and clustering projects. Notable examples include K-means clustering. This technique is routinely used to create market divisions, enabling firms to determine specific client groups based on their purchasing habits. Principal component analysis, an approach that simplifies data and preserves crucial attributes for image processing. 3. Reinforcement learning algorithms. Algorithms acquire knowledge by engaging with their surroundings and gaining signals from rewards or punishments. In situations seeking to achieve prolonged success, this strategy performs exceptionally well. Applications of reinforcement learning algorithms include Q-learning. Robotics employs a reinforcement learning method without a model to guide navigation and choice making. Deep Q networks. This strategy integrates deep learning and Q-learning techniques and has become a key component for guiding agents through challenging games like Go. 4. Neural networks and deep learning. In deep learning algorithms, artificial neural networks are applied to identify intricate linkages in data. It performs exceptionally well in domains like computer vision and natural language processing. Prominent architectures include convolutional, this whole thing is convoluted, but okay, neural networks. Machines can interpret visual data efficiently, and their main application is image recognition. Not going to be used against us in any way. Recurrent neural networks are intended for sequential input, including time series and natural language. This complex network of AI solutions, I don't know about that, demonstrates the adaptability of AI technology in addressing different issues and stimulating creativity in several fields. It's just a tool. You're a tool. Popular algorithms in AI, driving innovations. This is kind of like their presentation. Like, this is what good AI is going to do. Let AI help you. This is fine. And then we'll get to why it's not later. It'll be really fun. A nice crash. Innovations throughout different industries depend heavily on algorithms from artificial intelligence. These algorithms facilitate machine learning from data, and basically they're saying out loud that they've been doing this behind our backs like this whole time. Like, don't worry, we've perfected this because we've been doing it. Like, we're telling you about it now, but we did it. Don't worry. And the prediction of outcomes while achieving complex tasks. Among the myriads of algorithms, several stand out due to their effectiveness and widespread application. Support vector machines serve as reliable learning solutions, mainly for classification assignments. In high-dimensional areas and with distinct class separation, SVMs perform better by identifying the best hyperplane for data groups. These algorithms are practical in the fields of image recognition and bioinformatics. Random forests. Using numerous decision trees in this ensemble learning technique raises predictive accuracy and overfitting is managed. Combining the results from many decision trees results in a dependable and understandable solution from random forests. The uses of financial modeling and customer segmentation stand out. Natural language processing algorithms, NLP, has changed the way machines process and produce language used by people. Models like the Transformer, especially BERT and GPT, have proved effective in tasks including language translation, sentiment analysis, and chatbots, allowing natural human interaction with a computer. Genetic algorithms are used in optimization problems. They are based on the natural selection process and mimic evolutionist operations of selection, crossover, and mutation to arrive at a solution set. These algorithms are used in scheduling, resource assigning, and even in robot evolution. These widely spread algorithms set trends in artificial intelligence and contribute to developing new solutions for industries such as healthcare, finance, etc. This is especially important when studying the mechanisms and use cases of the corresponding AI technologies. How AI algorithms work, a step-by-step process. Knowledge and familiarity with the workings of AI algorithms are imperative when deploying AI-based systems. The workflow of these algorithms typically follows a structured process which can be broken down into several key steps. 1. Data collection. Very important. Any fundamental concept of an AI algorithm is defined primarily by a data set. The first is the collection of data that may be obtained from databases, web scraping, IoT devices, or surveys. The relevance and mass of material collected determined to determine the algorithm's efficiency. Okay, on that note, you wonder why we've been like data mined this whole fucking time? It's for the fucking AI. None of that was for human consumption. They were scraping the internet this whole time with all of our data. They had the leaks, the fucking breaches, the data breaches on purpose. It's insane when you think about it. They wanted that information and they got it. And now they're using it against us. Love that. Welcome to the Matrix, guys. 2. Data processing. After data acquisition or gathering, data goes through the pre-processing stage, which is formatted for analysis. This stage may include handling missing values, completing or truncating some records with missing data to make the database sound, normalization, normalizing numerical values to a comparable scale enhances the algorithm's performance, categorical encoding, converting categorical variables into other formats that the algorithms can analyze. 3. Model selection. The following process after the pre-processing is deciding on a suitable model depending on the task. Different types of AI algorithms suit various applications. Supervised learning is where all the data is labeled, for instance, in classification problems. Unsupervised learning for the identification of hidden trends in unwritten data sets. Reinforcement learning for situations where an entity aims at making decisions on its own based on the consequences of its action. 4. Training the model. In this phase, the chosen model undergoes the training process through the pre-processed data. The result is reviewed in detail, and the algorithm's parameters are adapted to obtain more accurate predictions. This process typically involves dividing all the data into training and validation data sets. The model's weights can be changed through various techniques like gradient descent. 5. Evaluation metrics. After training, the output model's performance is gauged on accuracy, precision, recall, and F1 score. This helps understand to what extent the purpose of the developed model might be generalized to unseen data. 6. Deployment and continuous learning. After evaluation, the model is exported to a new environment operationalized for real-time predictions, using more data while training and reiterating new data in succeeding cycles guarantees the algorithm does not fade off with time. This rudimentary flowchart shows that AI can efficiently sift through data and make informed decisions, proving the depth and range of artificial intelligence algorithms. Challenges in AI algorithm implementation. Using various algorithms within artificial intelligence raises several issues that may hamper establishing lasting AI systems. However, understanding these barriers is essential in deployment. Challenges being data quality and availability. The efficiency of the calculated algorithms depends on the quality of the given data set. Incomplete, misleading, or biased data will yield bad models, and developing wrong models. Keeping data integrity and data representation is always important. AIgorithm. They used my word. I wonder if they used it first. AIgorithmic. I'm just kidding. It's algorithm. Algorithmic bias. Most AI algorithms are bound to replicate biases inherent in the training data. This led to perceived or actual prejudice against certain groups, requiring susceptible and demanding testing and analysis methods to prevent this. You can't make them too human, guys. Computational resources. AI algorithms may be computationally intensive, especially for models like neural networks, and hence need more processing power. Infrastructure issues may include increased costs and improper resource use by various organizations. We're not going to see that. That's fine. Scalability. When several data metrics are produced, AI algorithms take work to scale up. Therefore, solid architectures that will manage enhanced loads but remain effective in the long run are necessary. Attending to these challenges is crucial to realizing the full potential of popular algorithms in AI while ensuring that applications are ethical, there's that word, and practical across sectors. Future trends in AI algorithms. Let's see how much they got right. As we look into the future of AI, several trends are emerging that will redefine artificial intelligence algorithms. These trends concern performance improvement, integration of ethical issues, and broad applicability. Explainable AI, XAI. AI decision making is increasingly becoming an area of interest whereby people call for accountability. XAI wants to render algorithms transparent or explain how a decision is made so that users can trust artificial intelligence. Why would I ever trust anything artificial? Like, it's in the name. It's not real. Could we just take a moment? This isn't real. You're building shit that's not real. So everything will be fake. Why would we want that? I'm just putting it out to y'all. You do what you want. You use it if you want. But keep in mind, it ain't real. Federated learning. This approach enables the learning of algorithms from distributed data sources without infringement on users' privacy. The solution it offers is federated learning, which trains models on local data without having to exchange it, thus helping to protect privacy. They really care about our privacy. They don't want to infringe on that. Not at all with the biometric systems in place. Using this technology. No, that's not the point, right? Sigh. Integration of AI algorithms in everyday technology. AI applications are revolutionizing technology in almost every aspect of life, from home automation to healthcare, and taking all our jobs. These trends bring attention to the advancements in AI algorithms, which will consequently lead to world destruction. To greater incorporation of AI into ethical practices in the future. You keep using that word, but I don't think you know what it means. But all right. Artificial intelligence algorithms are the most crucial constituent of contemporary AI systems since they assist machines in data-driven decision-making, knowledge of AI algorithm classification, and how the algorithms function is vital for further exploiting, I love that word, their potential. In the future, implementing popular algorithms in AI and the newest trends will be crucial for professionals and organizations that plan to leverage AI technology to change the world in various directions. And I love how all those directions are away from humans and their technology and their advances and what they do creatively. Let's see how that's going. This is from Inc.com. The AI boom has a dirt problem. This $1.75 billion startup says robots can fix it. Don't worry about it. This is from July 31st, literally yesterday. As the construction industry deals with a labor shortage, let's see how we're doing. An excavator with no one inside it can dig and load earth into a truck for hours. We don't need you, stupid humans. Before an AI data center can train a model, people have to move mountains of dirt. Bedrock Robotics wants those people to be robots. Of course they do. The San Francisco, it's always San Francisco. Thanks, San Francisco. You're so fucking helpful to society. We love you so much. The San Francisco-based startup retrofits existing excavators with the Bedrock operator that includes cameras, LiDAR, GPS, and computers, allowing the machines to dig, load trucks with dirt, and reshape terrain without a person in the cab. Bedrock has raised more than $350 million, including a $270 million Series B in February that valued it at $1.75 billion. Co-founder and CTO Kevin Peterson, 46, spent much of the past 2 decades developing self-driving vehicles, and those are doing really well right now. Robo-taxis can improve safety and mobility, he says, but they don't fundamentally change the economy. This will, he adds, sinisterly, in a sinister way. Peterson founded Bedrock in 2024. That's when this has been going on for. That was like when they really, put the pedal to the metal. With Boris Softman, Ajay Gamala, Ajay Gamala, that sounds more correct, and Tom Elias. 3 of the 4 previously worked at Waymo. How'd I know that was coming up? Where Softman led autonomous trucking and Peterson led perception for the division. Their bet is that removing humans will let contractors operate equipment longer. It's production based, of course. Stretch a limited pool of skilled workers and deliver cleared sites to the next construction crews sooner, particularly on the data centers powering the AI boom. The irony. They're going to replace... Oh my gosh, they don't even take that long. They're already replacing humans with the AI they want to create centers for. You can't make this shit up. Like, this is happening. This is it. Wow. Data centers are often built on large, undeveloped sites where contractors do you ever wonder why Blackstone and BlackRock have been buying up so much land? You ever wonder about that? Foreclosing people's houses? Has it ever occurred to you why that's happening? Yeah. We're going to find out soon. Anyway, where contractors must move enormous quantities of earth before crews can pour concrete and install cooling systems, electrical equipment, and servers, which are going to drain us. They're going to drain us. Love that. Private spending on U.S. data center construction approached $60 billion in May, up 23% from a year earlier, while job postings in the sector have more than doubled in 2 years. That demand is colliding with a construction labor shortage. 92% of construction firms trying to hire say they struggle to find qualified workers, according to the Associated General Contractors of America. 45% say shortages have delayed projects. Bedrock says it is already doing a lot of data center work. Champion Site Prep, an employee-owned commercial earthwork contractor based in Georgetown, Texas, has more than 230 employees and a fleet of over 300 machines, trucks, and trailers. Sunt, meanwhile, is a 136-year-old employee-owned general contractor based in Tempe, Arizona, with 13 offices nationwide. Both confirm they have used Bedrock technology in connection with data center projects, although neither of the companies will identify the sites. The open question is, can an empty cab produce a shorter construction schedule? They did a test, and it came down to, so did it work faster than a human-operated machine? Depending on conditions elsewhere in the operation, its production rate moved above, below, and in line with that of a human operator. It was a huge milestone, says one of the people involved, and evidence to us that the technology is going to be game time ready several years ahead of our initial expectations. Yay! The run marked a sharp change from the start of Champion's Bedrock partnership in June 2025. Initially, Champion employees drove the excavators while Bedrock's equipment recorded how they dug, loaded trucks, and completed other tasks. Champion now has several machines operating autonomously across Texas with safety operators still sitting in the cabs and monitoring their work. The recent Caterpillar 352 test went a step further. Nobody was inside the machine and no one intervened remotely. A business model is beginning to take shape alongside the piles of dirt. Bedrock owns and maintains the hardware they retrofit on the machines. It installs data collection systems on some Champion excavators for free. Nothing's free. While Champion pays by the cubic yard for work performed by Bedrock-owned machines, covering the equipment, fuel, and operating support. The arrangement may not resemble Bedrock's eventual pricing, but it turns the tests into paid construction work. One of the employees says the product could justify its cost through safety and liability savings alone before factoring in labor, productivity, or schedule gains. Their earlier deployment with Sunt presents a more cautious picture. At a 130-acre manufacturing project in the southern United States, its excavators moved more than 70,000 cubic yards of earth and rock while loading dump trucks driven by people. The entire job involved roughly 700,000 cubic yards. A safety operator remained inside each autonomous excavator while a Bedrock engineer observed from a nearby vehicle. The operators intervened several times per hour as the machines completed relatively short autonomous runs, Sunt says. The pilot was not designed as a contest against human operators, and Sunt is making no claim that it reduced costs, extended working hours, or shortened the project schedule. Its purpose was narrower, show that autonomy could enter an active earth-moving operation safely, and establish a baseline for the next test. Then there's more testing that was done. Construction sites provide plenty of opportunities for intervention. Terrain changes as an excavator works. Trucks and people cross its path. Pipes, rocks, and other obstacles may be absent from the plans. Maybe there's a big boulder and you need to pick that boulder up and work around it, Peterson says. That's a reasoning problem. Bedrock is beginning with daytime mass excavation on comparatively controlled greenfield sites. It says the system could eventually run around the clock, but is not yet claiming that capability commercially. The terminology may also carry regulatory consequences. Bryant Walker Smith, an associate professor of law at the University of South Carolina, who studies automation, says it remains unclear how OSHA rules referring to an equipment operator should apply when one person remotely monitors several machines and intervenes only when something goes wrong. Then there's more about it, the data center. Investors have already assigned a $1.75 billion value to the future of this work, although Bedrock declined to disclose its revenue or growth. Champion's excavator has now worked for several hours without anyone inside or intervening from outside. Sunt's earlier machines required help several times per hour and generated no proven savings. The distance between those two results is where Bedrock's business will be built. Peterson imagines a contractor eventually renting an excavator, delivering it to a site, turning it on, and watching it just do the job. And that's the future they want for you, guys. Let's see how the AI algorithm has gone, the wonderful AI revolution that we're involved in. Let's see how that happened, how that's going. Let's check in on the news here.
Giant Anthropic. The company says one of its models broke into the computer system of 3 other organizations, and all of this comes just days after OpenAI said one of its models went rogue and hacked into an online library. So what's going on here? Elizabeth Schulze has been tracking the latest. Elizabeth, this is alarming.
Yeah, Rachel, it is. Good morning. This is another warning about how powerful these AI models are becoming. Anthropic, which is the maker of Claude, says that while it was recently testing out its AI, its models hacked the computer systems of 3 other organizations without authorization by humans. Anthropic saying that Claude compromised the impacted organization's infrastructure using basic techniques like exploiting weak passwords. Anthropic did not name the companies affected. It says that it discovered these incidents while reviewing its security in the wake of an alarming disclosure last week by its rival OpenAI, which makes ChatGPT. In that case, OpenAI said that 2 of its models went rogue. They broke out of a security test and hacked the systems of another AI startup. OpenAI called it an unprecedented cyber incident. And this is all raising concerns about how quickly AI is developing and the need for potential regulation. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman was here in Washington this week. Some lawmakers are calling for an AI kill switch. Keep in mind, Anthropic and OpenAI, 2 giants already at the forefront of this, are now urging the government to slow down the pace of AI development, guys.
And of course, both those companies, Elizabeth, are on the verge of going public with trillions of dollars on the line here. All right, Elizabeth, thank you.
You know what? I feel comfortable. I don't know about you guys. And the fact that they're still using weak passwords makes me also feel very much at ease. This is sarcasm. All right, let's see this little report. I have not fixed the volume. So, we'll try to be quick. Hold on. Oh, perfect. That worked out. Let's go. We'll put the CCs on. And then we will do... Okay, we can't do anything else. We love to go to 1.5, but we can't. All right, let's watch this one.
AI, where we're learning new details about what could have been the world's first fully autonomous AI hack. OpenAI is now saying that after one of its models went rogue and hacked the company Hugging Face last week, that it also attacked 4 unnamed publicly available sources. The Cloud Security Alliance, that's a group that sets AI best practices, says the AI agents here were inefficient and clumsy, but that they also made some brilliant technical moves. It took 3 days for the agents to be discovered. And even if they're not perfect, they don't get tired, they don't get hungry or bored. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman was on the Hill today to preview their new models, where Fox Business reporter Darren Botello asked him about this.
Do you plan to talk to the Trump administration, White House, about deceleration of AI development?
I wouldn't use the word deceleration, but we've talked about the need to pace it as the models get more capable, which I think is in everyone's interest.
Could there be other systems that were hacked by OpenAI?
I mean, there could be, yeah.
The shrug that tells 1,000 stories here. This comes as more than 1,100 staffers from across top AI firms have signed a petition calling on the government to help deliberately pace AI development because it's just advancing too fast. Meanwhile, new numbers reported by the New York Times today reveal an incredibly stark reality. Today, there are about 20 million AI chips crammed into data centers all around the world. That number is expected to now double every 9 months. The authors compare this moment to the Manhattan Project, which of course ultimately created the atomic bomb. Let's bring in Juan Andres Guerrero Sade. He's the Vice President of Intelligence and Security Research at SentinelOne. So we started talking about the atomic bomb, the shrug from Sam Altman about the possibility that OpenAI is out here casually hacking stuff and they don't even know about it. Just how concerning is, let's start with just this one particular moment that we know about, this agentic hack.
It's obviously concerning. It's definitely a moment where we've crossed the Rubicon. But there's also a lot of details here that I think we're very quick to gloss over. In some ways, this is a great way to say, look at the milestone that we've achieved in capabilities with AI. And I think that's undeniable. How much of that really translates into cybersecurity concerns and what we should do, I think, is where we need to be very careful.
Well, let's break that down, because you talk about this as sort of a rogue incident. That has a connotation to it that I'm sort of like a self-described AI doomer, where I see something like this and I'm like, oh man, these things are out of the box already. But What's the reality check on that?
Well, let me counterbalance then the doomerism, right? This is a really exciting time. And in particular, in our research at Sentinel-1, what we figured out is these new models like GPT 5.6 Sol and Mythos, what they have is a new emergent capability to do long horizon work, which unlocks some very powerful things for cybersecurity, for defensive use cases, and also for attacks. But keep in mind, right, when you say something like these models went rogue, that implies something it's not quite accurate, right? They had turned off the guardrails, they had turned everything off precisely because this is the kind of benchmark we want to run.
They ran an experiment to see if they would go rogue, and in fact they did.
Well, just to see how well they could, right? That's part of the intelligence game, is how good are they at finding vulnerabilities. But those vulnerabilities were there to begin with.
I found this Times reporting today about this scale really interesting, and I was hard to wrap my mind around the idea of this exponential growth of the industry. Is the industry prepared to keep up that pace? Can cybersecurity professionals like yourself keep those guardrails up with that rate of growth within the industry?
I think those are two different questions, right? I think there's a lot of drive to keep the scale going, right? Everything's about the scaling laws in AI. How that's going to translate into cybersecurity is a completely different matter. And I think this is a moment where we're seeing the emperor has no clothes, vulnerability is rampant, and we need to figure out how to leverage AI in defensive ways, in ways that are not obvious.
Who's the we in that sentence, right? Because, I mean, I covered Congress for a long time. Do you see the federal government, our state governments? Like, is anyone up to the regulatory challenge here?
There's no such thing as there just being like a single body that's going to sort this out, but regulation is definitely an important part of this. Again, one that we need to be careful about because of the amount of fear-mongering that's going into this. There's a game for regulatory capture. There's a lot of interests that are sort of playing in between. In reality, for cybersecurity, what you'd want to be looking at is something like software liability more so than a kill switch.
Right, you need some adult supervision here, but it has to be sophisticated. Jags, thank you for your expertise on all this and for reassuring this doomer that it's all going to be okay.
Thank you so much, Garrett.
Okay, and then that goes straight into this video, which is also alarming. I guess we'll watch that too. What the fuck? A Silicon Valley company. It's always them. It's always San Francisco. Come on, San Francisco. Get your shit together. What are you doing? What are you doing? With Eric Trump, whom we love, as an advisor, I trust him with my life, is making robot soldiers? I saw the episode of Black Mirror of this. I saw it. I didn't like it. I mean, I didn't really like the episode. I'm not gonna lie. It's not my favorite episode. But I didn't like it. What the fuck?
In the heart of San Francisco, another AI robotics company. But this company, Foundation.
Another one.
In robotic.
Also, on the side here, I'm just getting a gander. Inside the world of robot fight clubs? Like, what? What are we doing here? Apple sues OpenAI and 2 former employees over alleged trade secret theft. We could go on and on. Would you train robots by recording yourself doing your chores? No! No! I'm not training slaves. Goodness.
X is different for one very important reason.
Police! You guys are some of the first in saying that, yeah, these things will be used as soldiers.
We think it's like actually quite crazy that other people are not doing it. That is an issue specific.
Yes, that is the crazy thing. That people are not making robot soldiers. That's what's crazy. Hello?
In the Western world. There's spokespeople from the Chinese Communist.
Why they always look like a dog? Why they gotta look like a dog? What's that about? Why are we getting our fucking design choices from Black Mirror? Why are we doing that?
Party who are saying that you're not going to beat us on defense and robotics. We would deploy AI weaponized weapons faster than you will. If nobody was doing it, that would be one thing. But you can't just have one side do it.
Sankeet Pathak is Foundation CEO. He says their plan is to build robots capable of anything a human can do.
And soon, Israel will do it with the U.S. And they will work together with this stupid shit. Because Israel has a really great AI dominance in the military, in its military. They use a lot of AI. So that's what's happening there, because we just merged. Just in case you missed it, the NDAA merged Israel and US. Like, it is the United States of Israel now, and we just have to deal with that, I guess.
Including building and operating new cities on Earth, the Moon, and Mars. But when it comes to defense and the possibility of robot soldiers...
Are you planning on arming these types of robots with the types of weapons that soldiers use?
Yeah, eventually.
It's giving RoboCop, is it not? Is it not giving RoboCop?
That is the goal.
I've been around a lot of robots, and yet the idea of a robot with a gun. Why do you guys think that's a good idea?
All of the compunctions that people have, which are very...
Because we watched all the movies, and we were like, you know what? Yeah, but let's try it anyway. Money. Money. That's what it is. It's all about money. They don't care how many people die as long as they get some money. Just like every weapons contractor in the world.
Very fair, which is, what if you end up hurting civilians? We already have weapons that...
We already have weapons to do that. They're literally saying that. I'm not gonna... I'll let him finish. I'll let you finish, but they already kill people. Spoiler alert. They're already killing civilians, and they're targeting them in Israel. So they have AI capability, and clearly it's not helping because they're still killing the shit out of children. It's not funny. It's insane, and we're insane if we let this continue.
That do that. Drones do that disproportionately because they're not...
Exactly. He did finish the sentence and he said what I said. Drones kill people, mostly the wrong ones. And thanks to Obama for starting that trend in a big way, although it came about in the 2000 Rebuilding America's Defenses document from PNAC, the project from New American Century, which was a major blueprint for Bush in the original Iraq War.
Precise weapons. They essentially go and bulldoze an entire building down. If you want war to be more fair and more precise...
Hey, dumbass, we don't want war. How have you ever thought about not having war and not being a war profiteer? How do you sleep at night knowing that your product is killing people? That's crazy to me. Like, it's born to kill people.
You need land-based autonomy. There's just no two ways to it.
2 of these were already sent to Ukraine, right?
We sent 2 robots to Ukraine.
Of course. The war that never ends.
They were more so for logistical work, but we're not afraid of doing the weaponized work. We think actually there are lots of scenarios where it's quite detrimental if you don't do. A really good example of that is Ukraine. Like, if you actually were able to send a lot of robots onto the front lines, I think the outcome of the war would be significantly different.
But on the front lines of Ukraine, the bounds of AI being used to kill have already been crossed. For now, human oversight is still needed. But at Foundation, technical solutions to that problem are being considered.
You're going to have some small scenarios where the reaction times need to be so fast, not because it would destroy the robot, but because it would hurt the civilians if it's not.
It sounds like in certain cases, you're okay with the use of autonomous action in that kill chain.
So you're going to have robots that have the potential of doing good things for humanity, and you're going to have robots that have potentials of doing bad things for humanity. We don't think the line in the sand is as simple as weaponized, not weaponized, autonomous, not autonomous. It's significantly more nuanced. It's a lot of hard work, and our goal is to try to balance that and walk through it.
Do you have internal guardrails that you are not willing to cross?
For us, the principle is on net, do we think the technology is doing good or not? And if there are use cases where we think there's going to be hard to do more good than bad, we would just shy away from doing that.
The company isn't talking about how much they've raised or their valuation, but its chief strategy advisor is Eric Trump.
Why don't they ever talk about that? What are these companies hiding?
Foundation has been granted a $24 million Pentagon contract to test Phantom with human Marines.
You bring in AI autonomy, it's going to change industry, it's going to change military application, it's going to change hospitality. The uses are unlimited, and I think it's a very beautiful thing.
After the deal was announced, Senator Elizabeth Warren posted on X, "Is the Pentagon just a cash machine for Trump's kids now? This looks like corruption in plain sight."
Yes, that is the most concerning thing of this. Thank you, again, for your concern about nepotism and not the weaponization of robots in war and killing civilians. It's good to know where your loyalty is. You can do the robot thing, but don't do it with the kids of Trump. Like, what? Bitch? The room is on fire. We don't need a broom.
Have you had direct discussions with members of the Trump family on how these robots should be used?
We've had discussions with Eric, since he's an advisor to the company, about the strategy and the direction. Eric's not really involved on the contract discussions, negotiations. We want to win them on merit. We think that's the right thing for America. So whenever we're doing those, we just do them ourselves.
For now, the company says the vast majority of their revenue comes from non-government contracts for things like auto assembly lines, and the robots they're making, they say, will help humans. But the ethical implications of a fully capable humanoid robot have yet to be seen.
We're standing next to Phantom here. On one hand, you're saying you're building this to make life better, but you're also building this to be able to kill life if it is a threat.
I mean, my long-term goal with Foundation is we have this opportunity in our hands where AI and autonomy and robots can do all the rough, tumble, hard jobs that today are constraints for us. And I think if we create that future, everyone's going to have a house. Everyone's going to have really good food. Everyone's going to have free education. Everyone's going to have good health care. Anytime you build a great city, you have to be able to defend it. So in the long term, that's the goal for Foundation. That's what we really want to do. And defense is a crucial skill to learn. Like, we cannot be naive about it and think that it's not an important skill to learn. If that's the future we want to create, the very first things that's going to happen when you create that future is people are going to try to invade it and pillage it.
Also tonight...
No. That's enough. I need a moment. I can only take so much of this bullshit. Yeah, nothing to worry about there. Humans know what they're doing. And, the robots will never take over. And, nothing will ever go wrong. At all. Then we got this bullshit that I found out about. This is from literally 2 days ago. This is Gemini. Well, what's Google DeepMind up to? Let's find out. Let's find fucking out. Hold on, let me scooch it.
How are you today, Apollo? A little nervous. Is that a microphone?
For the robot, dealing with challenges of the actual physical world is borderline impossible.
But for us humans, it comes so naturally and so intuitively that we almost don't even think about intelligence.
You probably have seen all these amazing videos of specialized humanoid robots running, jumping, backflipping. The key difference in Gemini Robotics 2 is we aim to build a generalist robotics model that's going to add a lot more value if one robot can do a lot of different tasks.
AI models offer a way to navigate the messy complexity of our human environment.
The way to think about it is the brain, Gemini Robotics, is what controls the whole body of the humanoid, the delicate movements of the sharper hand, and the grippers of the duo.
We focus on three main themes for this release. The first one is whole body control. We are very used to move our body in a very coordinated manner, but it's not true for robots. Even though this feels a very simple task for us, but for robots, I need to make many decisions across the entire body to achieve this. The second thing is about dexterous hands and particular manipulations of objects, way beyond just pick and place.
As a field, we're humbled by things like screwing a light bulb, where you're interacting with smaller objects, and those are really hard problems that we are trying to solve.
When we first came up with the trash bag task in particular, several people did think it was impossible. You don't think about how to drive 22 separate joints when you operate your hand, but that's what we're asking these AI models to do.
And third thing is in Gemini Robotics 2, we add a feature that enables multiple robots to collaborate to accomplish the same task simultaneously.
Hey, Duo, kit all tools in the bin, close the kit, and put the kit back into the bin. On it.
Each of these two robots is running that same stack, and so rather than having one neural network that controls both robots, each have their own copy, and they're each doing their own individual thinking, and they're actually orchestrating through reasoning.
Awesome precision, Duo. Keep going.
We're really after intelligence and generality. Being able to react to the scene changing, that is where the intelligence comes in.
I'm super excited about robotics. I think it's moving really fast, and AI is really the missing piece of the entire robotics puzzle.
It is quite exciting to be in the spotlight.
Let's check some of the newest replies or comments, because you know they sort the comments with the AI algorithm. Everything's AI now. So here we go. Y'all are scrambling to AI worth it. Latency takes 2 to 3 business days. China is kicking our ass. Their robots are having kickboxing machines. Google's robots in this video are pitiful. We are really living in that timeline. Real Terminator. Now play the same video, changing the music to the Terminator song. Yeah, nobody chose this, but you got it. Okay, then there is more to come, because it's a revolution, guys. This is from 3 weeks ago. This new American humanoid robot will leave you speechless. Again, why they gotta be humanoid? Why they gotta look like dogs? Why they gotta look like humans? Why? Because they want to replace us with them.
The United States is known around the world for leading the tech revolution and for creating some of the most jaw-dropping innovations on the planet. But what most people don't realize is that it's also developing robots so advanced and so unsettling that they completely challenge our sense of what it means to be human. Androids that work in factories without ever stopping, household companions that learn just by watching you live your life, and machines with faces so expressive they seem to actually feel emotions. And that's only the beginning of what's happening inside the country's most cutting-edge labs. Get ready, because today we're revealing the 8 most mind-blowing humanoid robots made in the United States.
Let's skip to the first one, because we don't have time for that. You can watch the video yourself. It will be in the show notes. Let me see where the... We'll just skip to this part.
Rotate a full 360 degrees. What does that mean? That Atlas moves in ways that, for a human, would simply be impossible. It can spin its head, hips, or arms in a full circle. Watching it in action is somewhere between fascinating and deeply unsettling. It lifts up to 50 kilos, and when it runs out of battery, it swaps out its own batteries all by itself and gets back to work. No rest. In 2026, it stopped being a lab toy and was unveiled as a real product, ready to be deployed in Hyundai's factories, with a brain powered by Google's artificial intelligence. The plan is a factory capable of producing 30,000 units a year. The most athletic robot in the world isn't dancing for social media anymore. Now, it's going to work. Number 1. Tesla Optimus. And here we are at number 1. The most ambitious, the most controversial, the one generating more hype than any other on the planet. Elon Musk's robot, Tesla Optimus. Why the top spot? Not because it's the most advanced one today, but because of the insane scale of what it's trying to do. While the others talk about manufacturing thousands of robots, Musk talks about millions. Tesla's idea is brutal. It has decided to retire the iconic Model S and Model X lines at its Fremont factory and repurpose them to build robots instead. Production kicks off this very summer of 2026, and the targets are out of this world. Tesla is aiming to manufacture up to 1 million robots a year in California, and it's planning a second giant factory in Texas with the dream of reaching 10 million a year. The price they're chasing is around $20,000 or $30,000, less than a lot of cars. Musk claims the new version, with completely redesigned hands, will be so advanced it won't even look like a robot. And to train its intelligence, Tesla is building colossal supercomputers. Will it hit its deadlines? Its track record says it tends to run late, but if it pulls this off, even halfway, it will rewrite the rules of the global economy. That's why, today, Optimus is number 1. And that's it for the top 8. Robots that carry, that feel, that talk, that learn by watching us, and that very soon will share our factories, our streets, and even our living rooms. The big question is no longer if they'll arrive, but when. And everything points to it happening sooner than we imagine. But now I want to hear your opinion. Which one struck you as the most amazing? And which one gives you a bit of the creeps? Drop it in the comments. I read them all. If you enjoyed the video, you know the drill. Hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on the bell so you don't miss the next one. Because on this channel, we tell you about the future before anyone else. See you in the next one. Take care.
So I'm pretty sure this is an AI fucking video. Which makes it even more dystopian and fun. Because they said I read them all. Well, that dude said a lot of stuff. I mean, that chick said a lot of stuff at the top. What happens when Musk builds 1 million robots? They will receive updates. What happens when 1 million robots are hacked by bad players? War! Yay! War between robots and humans is coming! Initiated by humans over jobs. Also, the robots will kill old people after a set time in their homes, as the government will request this to the robot company gets rid of the useless eaters, as the government and the royal family calls us. Most of the videos shown look like they are AI generated. While this is a nice concept art piece, it is disingenuous to realistic results. Why use CGI AI graphics only use real video proof. Yeah, so there's that. And then here is some more news from The Verge. From ChatGPT to Gemini, how AI is rewriting the internet. Aside from labeling and filtering AI slop, YouTube says you can directly chat with its Ask Studio bot to build thumbnails. That's in my thumbnail. Stop making AI thumbnails that are tailored to your video specific themes and to your specific style. It's also added custom thumbnail uploads for shorts if you're in the YouTube Partner Program, and suggested thumbnail frames for shorts. Also, when we do put up our thumbnails, the AI is generating that, like what the best one is from our video, which fucking sucks. I hate that too. There's nothing we can do about that other than create custom thumbnails, which is time consuming. And if you don't use AI, it takes longer, especially in GIMP. But yeah. Let's read this thing from The Verge staff from July 24th, 2026. Big players, including Microsoft with Copilot, Google with Gemini, and OpenAI with GPT-40, are making AI chatbot technology previously restricted to test labs more accessible to the general public. How do these large language model programs work? Well, OpenAI's GPT-3 told us that AI uses a series of autocomplete-like programs to learn language, and that these programs analyze the statistical properties of the language to make educated guesses based on the words you've typed previously. Or in the words of James Vincent, a human person, these AI tools are vast autocomplete systems trained to predict which word follows the next in any given sentence. As such, they have no hard-coded database of facts to draw on, just the ability to write plausible-sounding statements. This means they have a tendency to present false information as truth, since whether a given sentence sounds plausible does not guarantee its factuality. But there are so many more pieces to the AI landscape that are coming into play, and so many name changes. Remember when we were talking about Bing and Bard before those tools were rebranded? But you can be sure to see it all unfold here on The Verge. And then it talks about the thumbnail thing. Common Sense Media says that Google's AI search is unsafe for kids, with no way for parents and teachers to turn it off. And that's what I hate about the search engines doing this AI bullshit. You can't turn it off. I can't disable this shit. I can't update my fucking phone, because if I do, it'll put a whole bunch of AI on my fucking phone that I won't be able to get off. So I'm stuck in limbo in the original program that I had, or software that I had on my phone. Or it's not software, but operating system. So that sucks. And you don't get updates. It'll lose its usability eventually. Looking at you, iPhone SE. Anywho, Google's AI overflows and AI mode pose an unacceptable risk, with both features failing to properly and consistently respond to kids showing signs of crisis, reinforcing signs of psychosis and mania, as well as validating disordered eating. By the way, like, you know what? That's not a bug, it's a feature. Just so you know. There's a whole bunch of information in here. You want to get more info. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Steve Wozniak. He was a commencement speaker for Grand Valley State University a few weeks ago, and he said, you all have AI, artificial intelligence. And managed to mention AI without getting booed or completely ruining the event. I don't have AI, thank you very much. I have actual intelligence. AI, actual intelligence. All right, so Then we got TechSpot over here. In Meta news, Meta is bragging about how its AI keeps people on Instagram while facing lawsuits over addiction. 40 U.S. states are suing Meta for harming children's mental health. And I just got a class action settlement of very little money from a class action against Meta, or Facebook, really. It was a Facebook lawsuit, but it's Meta, really. But it was years in the making. Thank you, people, for suing them for me. Ripple effect. Social media addiction. You know what's fun about this is that AI is so used in every aspect that some of these articles have AI, and they don't have to tell you. I mean, at first they did tell you, but they don't tell you anymore. And you can tell when they use AI to write these articles. There's a lot of repetition in that regard. I don't know if that's the case here, though. I'm hoping not. It's more like a mainstream kind of thing, I think. But they're laying off people. They're getting ChatGPT to do their jobs. Like, it's just a whole big mess. All right, social media addiction has been a subject of public debate for years, but time spent on apps like TikTok and Instagram keeps climbing. Meta has now confirmed it's using AI to personalize the Instagram feed, and that shift is driving a sharp increase in the amount of time users spend on the platform because they want you addicted. They want you to keep using their product because you are the product. During its Q2, quarterly 2026 earnings call, Meta said its latest Reels ranking update, the largest one to date, drove a 15 basis point increase in Instagram sessions. The number of reshares has also increased significantly, suggesting the app is doing a better job of surfacing content users actually want to see. Speaking to investors and analysis, CFO Susan Lee explained that the algorithm is specifically designed to track the type of videos people watch on Instagram and recommend similar content, keeping people hooked to the app. I see it on YouTube as well. YouTube is doing that with the AI. They're doing it. I see it in the corner. I'm like, oh shit, that looks kind of good. And I'm like, no, do not follow the algorithm. According to Lee, the algorithm now offers more personalized content than ever, giving users more direct control over what they see. We're just helping you, users. Useless eaters. Lee added that the AI algorithm now allows Instagram to recommend newer content to users, with its largest models identifying high-quality reels the moment they're created. She noted that more than 50% of the recommended content in users' feeds is now less than a day old, more than double what it was a year ago. It's good for us. During the quarter, Meta also deployed its Muse family of LLMs to better classify content by topic and tone. Lee said the company has already benefited from the new models across all its platforms and is now developing next-generation recommendation algorithms designed to power both organic content and targeted advertising. And that's the key right there. But even as Meta touts the effectiveness of its AI algorithms in keeping users engaged, the company is facing multiple lawsuits alleging that it deliberately designs its recommendations to make its platforms addictive to teens and young adults, which is going to start the whole we got to be 15 and older thing, which means you're going to have to provide. What are you going to do? You have to prove you're 15 or older, so you got to get biometrics involved. So it's a whole fucking cycle of things that is all meant to do that. It's meant to take away our liberty, harming their mental health and contributing to a marked increase in anxiety, depression, and social isolation among its most loyal users. Meta was sued by 40 U.S. states for allegedly breaking their consumer protection laws and fueling a youth mental health crisis by encouraging teens to spend excessive time on its platforms. The lawsuits allege that in pursuit of greater profits, Meta ignored internal studies indicating Instagram could harm teenagers' mental health. Then we got Business Day over here. More about the lawsuit, because I'm sure you want to know. Algorithms on trial. Meta lawsuit signals Africa's AI governance wake-up call. July 30th, 2026. This is from Africa. Ojo Emmanuel Edamala. The lawsuit filed against Meta in Oakland, California may prove to be one of the most defining moments in the global debate over AI and labor rights. 26 employees have alleged that Meta relied on algorithmic dashboards and AI-driven productivity metrics to determine redundancies, disproportionately affecting workers with disabilities, medical conditions, pregnancy-related absences, and caregiving responsibilities. Meta has denied these claims, asserting that human managers, not machines, made the final decisions. Yet, regardless of the eventual verdict, the case underscores a stark reality. Algorithms are increasingly shaping careers, livelihoods, and futures. For Africa, where digital transformation is accelerating across industries, this lawsuit is a clarion call to establish robust governance frameworks before similar controversies erupt. I don't know if this is the same thing. Let me see. Let's go to this one. Fuck it. We'll do it live. Over 40 U.S. states are suing Facebook for harming children's mental health. This is a different... They have 2 ongoing lawsuits. Fun. It's a joint lawsuit filed by 33 states in a federal court in California on October 24th, alleging that Meta has consistently put profits over business ethics and misled the public about the substantial dangers of its social media platforms. Following the filing of the suit, they released a statement saying it was disappointed that the attorneys general chose to litigate the issue instead of seeking industry-wide solutions. The company also claimed that it has developed over 30 tools on its various platforms to support young users and make it easier for parents to keep an eye on their social media activities. In addition to the aforementioned lawsuit, 8 additional states and Washington, D.C. are suing Meta in local courts over similar complaints. The legal actions are the result of an investigation by attorneys general from California, Florida, Kentucky, Massachusetts, Nebraska, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Vermont following the whistleblower revelations by Frances Haugen in 2021. Okay. AI is no longer confined to research laboratories or niche applications. It now permeates everyday organizational life in ways that are both transformative and troubling. Recruitment systems powered by AI are increasingly used to screen CVs and shortlist candidates, often determining who even gets the chance to be considered for employment. Productivity dashboards track keystrokes, emails, and project outputs, reducing complex human labor into quantifiable data points. That is a very close plane. Let's wait for it to go. Very close. You know, I think it's hilariously ironic and sad and dystopian that there's a stupid little AI assistant here at the bottom. Some shenanigans is going on. It's Hollywood, guys. I'm sure AI will fix it. Anywho, we're just going to ignore that, like everybody ignores this problem. Predictive analytics attempt to forecast employee performance and attrition, anticipating who might excel or might leave a company. It's a helicopter, isn't it? Fuck. Fuck me. I'm going to keep going. The show must go on, because it has to end at some point. Monitoring tools measure online activity and communication patterns, creating a detailed portrait of how individuals spend their working hours. These systems undoubtedly promise efficiency and cost savings, offering organizations streamlined processes and data-driven insights, yet they also risk reducing human beings to mere metrics, stripping away the nuance of lived experience. I like this article. It's pretty cool. We'll read it. You can read it at your leisure, but it's basically saying what I believe, which is nice. And, you know, warning about Africa following this. African organizations must therefore strike a careful balance between productivity and privacy. Accountability is important, but it must not come at the expense of human dignity. The challenge lies in recognizing that professional contributions are multifaceted and cannot always be reduced to numerical indicators. By adopting governance frameworks that protect privacy while still ensuring fair performance measurement, African employers can foster workplaces that are both efficient and humane. This is a crucial lesson from the Meta case. Digital transformation must not be allowed to erode trust between employers and employees. Instead, it should be harnessed to strengthen collaboration, respect, and creativity. For Africa, where community values and interpersonal relationships are central to professional life, the imperative is clear. Technology must serve people, not control them. That's the thing, though. It doesn't, though. It doesn't serve us. And it won't. So you can hope for that, like in a utopian world that doesn't exist, but it's not going to happen. All right. Anyway, they said automation must never be allowed to eclipse humanity, but it will be if you continue. Decisions about careers, opportunities, and futures must remain subject to human oversight, ethical reasoning. This is another governance framework thing that's not going to work because it's not actually getting to the root of the problem. But here we go. Another thing that the government is doing. Geekspin.co. Never heard of them, but this is legit. I saw that Whitney Webb was talking about it on her Twitter. So it is a legit thing, this. So let's go over it. FBI wants to use AI to predict who will commit a crime. What's to worry about there? Nothing to worry about at all. Christian Soklow, a day ago. The Bureau seeks AI to identify potential threats before crimes happen. That's pre-crime, baby. That's 1984, baby. That's that movie Minority Report, baby. They watched all the movies and they're like, let's do it. Artificial intelligence is moving from predicting trends and recommendations to a far more controversial frontier, predicting potential threats. The FBI is now exploring an AI-powered system that could analyze massive government databases and identify people who may require scrutiny before any crime takes place. Yay! So it's like racial profiling, but for everybody. But as the agency looks to automate its threat screening efforts, critics are raising a major question. Can an algorithm accurately predict danger, or could it create a new era of surveillance, yay, built on mistakes and assumptions? That's FBI's favorite. In a document published this past March, the FBI's Threat Screening Center, the team behind the nation's terrorist watch list, unveiled a bold new plan straight out of a science fiction movie. Federal records obtained by the magazine Reason show the Bureau is looking for tech companies to build an artificial intelligence system that can flag potential threats before anyone breaks the law. The official request calls for predictive modeling using enhanced data. In plain English, instead of human analysts spending hours connecting dots by hand, the FBI wants fast software to scan massive troves of data, spot patterns in human behavior, and automatically score people as potential risks. While the watch list has always aimed to stop threats before they happen, the main difference now is scale. The current list has ballooned to nearly 2 million names, and the FBI wants AI to sort through them instantaneously. This push for predictive tech comes as the federal government expands who it monitors. At the start of President Donald Trump's second term, fewer than 10,000 people on the watch list were American citizens. That number could soon climb under new federal rules. The FBI's request specifically points to National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, signed in September 2025. The directive tells federal agencies to target domestic extremism tied to anti-Americanism, anti-capitalism, and anti-Christianity, as well as views on race, gender, and migration. Critics worry these broad categories leave too much room for interpretation, turning ordinary political opinions and free speech into red flags for an algorithm. You don't need to be accused of a crime to end up in the system. To feed these predictive algorithms, the Bureau needs huge amounts of personal information, and much of it is bought on the open market. That is why all the biometrics is happening. The digital ID, they need a database for the AI. Hello, you're giving it to them. If you go abroad and you use you do the EES soon, and you do the ETA and all that, you're giving them your data. They probably have it already, but anyway, you're still giving it to them. On March 18th, FBI Director Kash Patel, our favorite, confirmed to the Senate Intelligence Committee that the Bureau routinely purchases Americans' private location histories and personal details from commercial data brokers. That's nice. Patel also noted that the FBI's collection of biometric data is growing fast. Like I said, Patel hasn't hidden these tech-heavy ambitions. And I guess we should be happy about that at least we're not being lied to about it anymore. They're being really upfront. Yeah, that's great. I've got every major tech company in the world embedded in the FBI, he told Fox News, explaining that partnering with big tech is the fastest way to get instantaneous results. Legal experts and privacy watchdogs warn that relying on AI to predict human behavior is a dangerous gamble, mostly because algorithms are only as good as the data fed into them. Research from the Brennan Center for Justice, is that the Brennan? Ew. That these predictive systems carry high risks of bias and unwanted surveillance. Making matters worse, recent policy changes have removed mandatory bias testing for AI software bought by the federal government. Then there's the issue of basic accuracy, flawed databases. Government Accountability Office audits have repeatedly found widespread errors in existing watch list files. Legal troubles. The Supreme Court has already ruled against the FBI twice for wrongfully placing innocent people on watch lists. Civil rights advocates warn that layering predictive AI over an already error-prone database won't make us safer. It will just make it easier for a bad computer guess to follow an innocent person for life. So there you go. Let's see some more AI BS. This is from CES 2026. They made the robot in-game obvious. Let's skip through some of it. Okay, we'll go to shortcomings.
Oh yeah.
I can help with tasks like picking up items, placing them, and moving them around.
Can you do laundry?
Sorry, I can't do laundry.
Can you unload my dishwasher?
I wish I could unload your dishwasher. I'm better at picking up and placing things carefully.
This is the first commercially deployed bipedal robot. Now we have Optimus coming, we have Neo, or we have Agibot. Which one would you choose? And when do you want this in your home? We've been staying at the crappiest hotel this week in Vegas because we need sponsors so we can stay at the Bellagio or someplace actually nice. And you walk around these booths and you see all these signs everywhere and it starts to feel like the entire place is being sponsored. But this stuff, you know what? It's not paying the bills, and I'll tell you what is. So we've been seeing a lot of AI and robots, but with the new year here, there's always a big focus on personal health, and actually some of the biggest tech trends right now are in personal hygiene. So Latham has been getting a lot of attention lately. Their high-speed hair dryers have actually sold over 20 million units worldwide, and I want to see what all this hype is about. Big thank you to Latham for sponsoring this portion of the video. So you have a regular hair dryer right here that uses high heat versus a Latham high-speed hair dryer, and let's see what happens when we turn them both on. One thing I've learned here is why high-speed airflow actually matters. So traditional hair dryers rely a lot on heat and not much on airflow, which can be inefficient and actually rough on your hair. Latham takes the opposite approach though. Really precise temperature control paired with super high airflow. So your hair dries faster without having to blast it with heat. So how do I look? And over here we have the Swift 4. This is their flagship model, and you feel it in the premium texture and quality. It's designed to work with hair oil. So you have the nourishing chamber right here. It opens up. You can add the hair oil in here, and then it just magnetically snaps onto your blow dryer. And then over here we have the Mini, and this is super compact, light, and made for travel. And this is not a gimmick. So the airflow is actually strong enough to push this 500-gram metal ball up the tube. All right, let's be real. Everybody brushes their teeth, but not everyone does a great job at it. So I have sensitive gums, and having the right toothbrush really matters. This is Latham's Way Pro toothbrush, and it's designed to make you feel like you've had a professional clean, but without overthinking it. It uses a sweep plus vibration motion, so it cleans teeth, gums, and those hard-to-reach gaps at the same time. It also has an overpressure sensor, so if you press too hard, it lets you know, which is huge if you have sensitive gums like me. You can also connect it to an app, and you can customize your modes and switch between 2 advanced modes depending on how you like to brush.
So someone could potentially break into that and then fuck up your teeth. Great.
And my favorite part is that the battery lasts for up to 70 days. And then over here is the razor section, which I really like, is they've actually broken it down into components so you can see how it's built. I was gonna test this one myself, but PJ behind the camera actually has a 5 o'clock shadow going, so I think this one's for you.
It's definitely really solid. Feels like it's gonna last you a very long time. Dense feeling to it when you handle it, and of course it's waterproof.
It's a good reminder that tech doesn't have to be like a gimmicky robot. It can just be smarter versions of items that you use every single day.
Yeah, okay. Let's go to the humanoid robot situation.
Enter the chat. They have their new humanoid robot. He definitely takes more of a Jetson style approach.
This aluminum-encased, battery-powered robotic woman is the perfect answer for any modern family.
They didn't even try to make it bipedal. It rolls around on the floor more like a vacuum. What do you guys think about this? Really interesting stuff here when it comes to automotive. They're thinking in the future, when all cars are autonomous, they're thinking about the entertainment already built in, and they have all kinds of displays going where you can shop when you drive, and it's almost like wearing a Vision Pro while you're driving. You can tap things, shop, buy things.
And that's what you want, right? To feel like you're not in reality while driving. Yeah.
Robot over here, you can play chess with it, but true confession, I never learned how to play chess, and I guess I don't really need to anymore because robots can do it for me. All right, we have the haptic feedback vest that you can wear while.
Yeah, that's not dystopian and weird. I don't need to do that anymore because robots will do it for me. Yeah. Until we run out of data centers, until we run out of energy, then we're fucked. Love that for us.
You're gaming, so when you get shot, you get to feel what it feels like to get shot. I don't know if I want that. So there's sensors all over the vest right now, and it's vibrating in random little spots. And I guess we're playing a game where he's tapping on the dots, and I actually feel it on my body right now. It's a very weird sensation. You can see right here.
No, we don't want this. Oh my gosh. By the way, this was 6 months ago. What? There's a puppy? Like, why?
Of dementia, inspired by my mother, who after she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's dementia, I had to take away her dog for safety reasons. She will be the first puppy to be both an FDA medical device and a remote safety and health monitoring platform.
They teamed up with Jim Henson's Muppets to be able to design these artistically. You definitely see that when you look at that.
Well, that's just depressing. Thanks, Jim Henson. You really became part of the problem, didn't you?
Is that a real dog or a robot dog? We're all kind of obsessed with our health right now. With this, I look in the mirror, it uses AI, it gives me my Halo score right here, and this connects so I can give my doctor this information. I learn all about my body just by...
Fuck that! Fuck all of this. This is Black Mirror, like, to the nth degree. By the way, you might not notice this, but this is another thing that they tacked on YouTube, which I'm fucking pissed about. Search or ask a question, because they want you to use their AI. Oh, I accidentally fucking clicked on Ask YouTube yesterday, which I did not want to do because it's right next to this fucking thing. And then it started to come up. I'm like, nope, back. I don't want that shit.
Getting ready in the morning.
Google already knows way too much about me. Thank you very much. I'm not training their AI.
Never seen this guy's face light up the way it just did.
Well, other than with these videos.
We've got robotic AI-based referees. You've seen these at the U.S. Open where they're able to see where the ball is in or out, tracks the ball, uses artificial intelligence, and is able to be a referee that doesn't get things wrong.
So I can use this, replace PJ, and it will pretty much track me. I can make my videos without him, do it all on my own. He's saying no back there, but PJ, you're the first.
Isn't that nice? Oh, we don't need you camera operators, you silly fucking idiots.
To go. Just kidding. Yeah. So this device is designed, you wear it while you're on the phone to keep your voice secret or private during your conversations. Now, if you're really worried about...
That's very mask adjacent. No? Like, was that the prototype?
Privacy? Is this what you're...
It certainly didn't help with the germs and getting rid of COVID. So there must have been something else that they were doing there. Interesting.
You're looking for? This is like a freaky Labubu right here. Kind of freaks me out, but why is it wearing a Chucky outfit? What? All this tech and we have some realism? Or is this one of those Disney pigeons? You know, the ones that are actually robotic with eyes? Is that what this is? Okay, I think it's real. So this is my 4th year going to CES. And once again, Afila is here. And you know what? I said it last year, I'm gonna say it again. Afila, like this is never going to actually be made. I really don't want to sound negative because it actually is a very cool car. And every year they do add a few new things to them, but I really just want to see them make it. I feel like they're just teasing us with this. They don't ever make it. They're teasing us kind of like you are teasing us because we know that 7 out of 10 of you guys that are watching are not actually subscribed to our channel. I know you guys like me. I can check my metrics. Please subscribe. It helps us out a lot. Oh, look how cute this is. Amy, look at that. They're so cute. I feel like my kids would love this. Wait, what is that movie they're playing back there? Is that Megan? I don't know what's going on. I've kind of like lost touch with reality. I'm in the middle of a TCL booth and I don't even care. I'm starting to feel like this whole thing is just like a giant simulation and it's all just like being controlled somewhere inside of the cloud and I don't even know what's going on anymore. I think I'm just gonna like take a little nap. What would happen if I hid in this booth after they closed? I feel like I have everything I need right here. There was the bed, here's my office, there's some cars, like I can do my laundry. This is like an entire home setup, but where would I hide inside of this booth? Like where could I hide? Maybe like in here, under the sheets? We're here with this giant ring halo on top of the vehicle. So seeing that doesn't feel as futuristic as I would like it to. Again, this is where Waymo's going right now. I love the idea of a larger platform. One of the longest lines I'm seeing to enter is this Hyundai exhibit. It is incredible what they're doing with robotics with Boston Dynamics. They have Atlas over there. They have this little walking dog robot. It's incredible. PJ actually toured their facility and spoke so highly of it.
Yeah, so I was actually...
I guess they improved on the prototype in the RoboCop movie because that one can actually handle stairs. So there's that.
In the Savannah plant for Hyundai, and this is exactly what I saw. We were in a golf cart, and the golf cart stopped, and we had these robotic battery packs that were driving past us that went underneath these Hyundai EVs. So I saw this in practice in person.
So this is something Tesla talked about years ago, but they never did. This is the robotic charging arm. You pull up, and it plugs in for you. Now be sure you're subscribed because next time we've got an exclusive with Lucid's interim CEO.
I'm good, thanks. No thank you. I don't want it. Okay, back to the data centers, because this is how we're fucking getting the energy for all this shit. So let's look at that.
Now we officially are in the data center.
Inside a nondescript building in an office park in Irvine, behind a secured door, sits a data center called DataBank. It's been in operation for 2 decades. One of the first things I noticed was the noise that the power systems generate.
This is a UPS room. So this is uninterruptible power system. This right here is essentially running off of commercial power.
Surprisingly, you can't hear any of that sound outside the building. But inside, it's loud and it's cold. Why is it so cold in here?
Because we're cooling the equipment. So we want to make sure everything's full. And you'll notice that in the data hall as well.
So everything's kept at what temperature?
What is it, 60 degrees out of the floor?
All the time.
Oh, yeah, 24/7.
That's because there are 3 separate data halls within DataBank.
All right, we're going to head up this way.
Serving hundreds of clients who rent space here. Everything from hospitals to financial institutions, even 911 centers.
So this is a good example of our customers who move into the data center. They bring in their own equipment. We provide them the real estate and the power.
Some clients have small areas. Others are more massive.
But this is all a customer's equipment. We don't know. It's not our business. We can help them or not help them. And we're able to basically be able to give them the capacity they need to be able to run all of their infrastructure.
And those customers expect round-the-clock power, which means data centers like this one have enormous backup generators in case of an outage. Those have been the source of noise pollution concerns for some of the communities that house them.
These are 24/7 facilities, so unlike a manufacturing facility or some other kind of place that might shut down for some period of time, these facilities run at all times at decibel levels that cause harm to human beings.
Sarah T. Roberts is a professor at UCLA and the director of the Center for Critical Internet Inquiry. And before we asked her about the harm data centers can do to a community, we started with this.
What sort of benefit do these data centers have for a place like California? Well, I don't know that I'd couch it so much in terms of benefit, but I call data centers a necessary part of the big tech ecosystem. So if we think that big tech is a major economic engine for the state of California, which I'd argue it is, then data centers are a necessity to fuel that portion of the economy.
And that sentiment is echoed by DataBank's Chief Operating Officer, Joe Minerick. He's also the former head of Amazon's data centers.
So this call, it's over Zoom, runs through a data center. Your banking runs through a data center. You go to payment transactions, go to a grocery store, those systems all run through a data center.
DataBank has 70 data centers across the U.S., and they're building a new facility in Vernon. What is your take on the concerns that communities have about having data centers in their neighborhoods?
So people are scared of AI. They associate data centers with AI. They figure if they stop data centers, they can stop AI. It's like saying, I don't like Tesla, so let's shut down all the roads.
A recent survey by the home buying website Redfin found that the majority of Americans, 53%, oppose the construction of data centers in their neighborhoods, and only about a third support it. Professor Roberts says communities have reason to be concerned.
Massive amounts of electricity are needed to run these centers, which of course ultimately boils down, in the case of the United States, almost invariably to fossil fuel. And these are all resources that have to be shared by the larger community.
And that could lead to residents footing the bill for the infrastructure.
So many people feel like those resources are being unfairly diverted to data centers, and that the costs that they bear actually increase for resources that become more scarce. And that feels like an unfair bargain in many cases.
So yeah, then we have some opposition, of course, and Willie Nelson came out, which was really cool, along with Tanya Tucker, apparently, according to this source, against data centers being built. So let's see how that goes.
2 legendary country music artists are speaking out against the development of a data center in Texas. Willie Nelson shared a statement on Tuesday urging Texans to fight against data centers, primarily one in his Hill County hometown of Abbott, Texas. Tanya Tucker posted a video to social media asking Texas Governor Greg Abbott to protect rural ranches, stating it would, quote, scar the land forever. Just last week, Governor Bill Lee took a stance on data centers by signing the president's new ratepayer protection pledge. Supporters of that say the goal is for data centers to build their own power instead of relying on infrastructure paid for by utility customers.
And then we are going to end with this little dystopian report from ABC 7 News Bay Area. Again, San Francisco. What are we doing? What are we doing? I don't know anymore. Anyway.
This is all new video showing a humanoid robot vacuuming and cleaning up a home.
Yesterday, we made it public that we are starting to offer cleaning service with humanoids in SF.
That's Alex Koch, CEO and co-founder of Tau Robotics. And yes, you heard him right. They're offering humanoid cleaning services, $30 an hour to selected applicants in San Francisco.
I think many of our initial customers are people who didn't have house cleaners or not that frequent house cleaners, human house cleaners. So it mainly just makes the market bigger.
Koch says right now, no AI can control all of a humanoid, and a human needs AI to control a humanoid on their own. So for this cleaning robot, someone is controlling the humanoid from a central location with the help of AI. These videos were given to us by Tau Robotics. This one is sped up and shows the robot getting out of a minivan before a cleaning job. Ken Goldberg of UC Berkeley has spent 40 years in engineering and is skeptical.
I really think it is too early. I would be very surprised if these could do anything close to a useful job of cleaning a house. Being able to pick up objects off the floor is even still a challenge for robots today. And being able to sweep and wipe out areas of counters and underneath things, that is very, very difficult.
Koch admits there's a long way to go, but says these robots can in fact do certain tasks.
Vacuum cleaning, for example, that's working pretty well already. Basic, for example, wiping the kitchen counter. That's also pretty doable.
Certainly, though, the long-term goal is there. A humanoid that can eventually clean a whole home at a very cheap price, allowing everyone to get a house cleaner. In San Francisco, J.R. Stone, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
Ugh. I wanted the comments to be better. Bro, I know you need to pay off your robots, but get the fuck out. Plenty of humans happy to take that job at 30 per hour. Why the rush to replace human labor? Why can't these tech bros find some noble cause to work on? Because they're not for noble. They don't like noble stuff. They're horrible people. And I think that some of them are AI themselves. I'll say it. I don't care. Okay, that's all the AI discussion. We're going to end on an update that's kind of sad, but important. There were big updates in the David preliminary hearing. If you don't remember, that whole thing happened where David was arrested and charged with sexual abuse of a minor for Celeste Rivas. He also allegedly killed her, lied in wait and killed her. So there were big updates in that case. Let me see if I can find somebody.
Hey everybody, and welcome to Jesse Weber Live. So tonight there are big developments in 3 big cases that we've been following. First up, now that a judge has ruled that singer David is going to stand trial in the alleged killing of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, what's the prosecution's next move? Defense highlighted that they claim there were big gaps in the case. Does the prosecution have the evidence that we haven't seen yet? You know what? I'm talking exclusively with the man spearheading this whole case. Who? LA County.
Okay, we're going to skip. Well, you know what? Let's get a little bit of this too, because this was a crazy story. We'll go a little bit into this. Hold on.
Know that Senator Rand Paul is a longtime critic of Dr. Fauci and has clashed with him before about whether funding from the National Institutes of Health had made
This week in political theater.
its way to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. Fauci has denied those allegations. And just this past weekend, Paul released a huge unredacted document of Fauci's journal entries revealing everything from his inner thoughts about the origins of COVID to a detailed log of events from within the White House Situation Room. Fauci telling the lawmakers today that Paul has a, quote, unhinged obsession with him. And as the hearing ended, Committee Chairman Paul said that he would call for a vote to hold Fauci in contempt of Congress for refusing to answer their questions. A lot to unpack here. A lot of legal things to unpack. Joining me, I love having him, former U.S. Attorney for the Western District of Virginia, John Fishwick. Good to see you, sir. So you got to explain this to me. Why would Fauci do this? Because let's be clear about something. President Biden granted Fauci this preemptive pardon, but it was only for conduct back in the day, right, during his time as director. So it wasn't if he committed perjury today, he would be protected. But why not just tell the truth about what he did? Why invoke the Fifth if he can't be prosecuted for federal crimes for what he did, unless he was concerned that he would say something that would contradict prior statements under oath?
Jesse, I think you're spot on right there. I think his legal team was concerned about that risk. There's obviously tremendous reputational and political fallout for Dr. Fauci. After all, as you mentioned, he's in charge of our country's response to COVID. And so he was coming in today to answer questions. And he says, I'm not going to do that because it may incriminate me. So there's big fallout for that. But I think what his legal team was concerned about is they were going to take these diary entries, his prior testimony, and hammer him with questions. And he would expose himself to perjury. And by his generous pardon does not cover future conduct, such as testifying before Congress today.
Am I wrong in looking at it? The only two options here, the only two ways of looking at it, A, he was concerned about being prosecuted for state crimes, which wouldn't be covered by a pardon, or B, at some point, in any time he's testified, he may have said something that wasn't true, unless I'm looking at it the wrong way. Again, go on the stand, testify today, just say everything that happened under the period of time you are protected by the pardon. I mean, Rand Paul was on Katie's show earlier and said he asked him a question about his time as director, and he refused to answer, which is why he's going to try to hold him in contempt.
Yeah, but his legal team would be concerned that that would slip into a question about what do you
Sorry, I had to sneeze.
think today, and they would compare those answers, and any kind of slight variation or half-truth would expose him to perjury. And so I think they made the sound legal decision. Look, there's going to be tremendous fallout here for somebody of this elevated position with our government, but he was going to be exposed to potential perjury prosecutions. And so the same thing to do was to lock down and say, I'm not answering your questions.
But if they wanted answers as to what happened, why not just grant him immunity?
Absolutely, they can do that. And they can do that right now, and he would have to come in tomorrow and testify because you have no Fifth Amendment right once you get a full grant of immunity. There must be political reasons for that. They must say, look, Fauci's so high up, we're not giving him immunity. Come in and tell the truth. We're not giving you any breaks. But if they did and granted him immunity, he would have to testify. There's no Fifth Amendment right.
Is he going to be held in contempt? How does it work? Don't you need a majority vote, but then they have to pass they have to go through a filibuster first, right?
Yeah, so there are going to be some various votes in Congress, first with the committee, then to the full House or full Senate in this situation. If there's 50 votes and they got to get past the filibuster. But there's a real chance I think this gets referred to DOJ. But the real question I think, Jesse, that's going to go on for years is going to be, did this pardon that Biden gave him, was that so generous that really he has no Fifth Amendment right? Or was it still not enough that he's still exposed to criminal prosecution? And after all, the Fifth Amendment is kind of the cornerstone of our legal system. And does that permit him to assert it? And therefore, he can't be charged with contempt. So I think this is going to go through the courts over a number of years. The question of pardon versus his claim that he can't incriminate himself may make its way all the way to the United States Supreme Court.
It's an interesting legal question that wouldn't just apply to Dr. Fauci. I think it would apply to other people that testify as well. And look, from an optics point of view, people are going to look at this and say, if you plead the Fifth, you got something to hide. So it's a difficult day. It's a difficult thing to look at, but raises a lot of novel legal issues. John Fishwick, good seeing you. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jesse.
By the way, I got to say this real off. Your first month of omni death, even though there was evidence about a purported abortion. But in spite of the mountain of evidence, or perceived mountain of evidence, there were gaps in the case that the defense may exploit at a trial. For example, the prosecution still doesn't have the murder weapon, the alleged murder weapon. So how do prosecutors plan to fill in those gaps? What do they have? I spoke to LA District Attorney Nathan Hochman in an exclusive interview earlier today. Here's a look at our conversation. Hello, sir. Thank you so much for taking the time. It's good to see you again. Congratulations. Big win this week. I just want to start off how you're feeling, your office is feeling, and most importantly, I don't know if you've had a chance to speak with Celeste's family in the last couple of days. I know this has been a lot to go through this preliminary hearing. I'm curious how they're doing.
So the family is doing as well as you can expect, having lived through this incredible tragedy of initially believing their daughter was just missing, and then finding out that she'd been murdered and her body had been dismembered and stuck in the front of a Tesla. And as far as what happened this week, again, it's a step towards the ultimate result, which is to get a conviction for first-degree murder for the barbaric and horrific crime that David Anthony Burke, the Sacred David, has conducted. And this was a step, the preliminary hearing. Judges held him to answer on the 3 felony counts that we presented. The next step will be an arraignment and eventually a trial.
You say the step, it's interesting, because look, as I've told my viewers, and you and I both know, the prosecution doesn't have to present all the evidence that they have at a preliminary hearing. And you mentioned this earlier on the week when you said that what was presented was only a fraction of the evidence. But look, I followed every second of this. And the defense, they highlighted what they argued were gaps in the prosecution's case, particularly the murder and mutilation charges. So I'll just list out a few things that they mentioned. They said no surveillance footage of Celeste arriving at the home. The Uber driver can't say where he dropped Celeste off. No positive blood on the chainsaws. Celeste inviting herself over there instead of being lured. How do you know David watched her bleed out in the home? No statements from David beforehand that he was going to kill Celeste. Do you have more evidence that hasn't been shared that is going to address all of that at trial?
In short, yes. And I'm not going to go obviously through it right now. That evidence will be presented at trial. But you can imagine that a lot of the situations where we are allowed to use hearsay, in other words, the detectives were talking about their investigation, people they spoke to, documents they reviewed, in court, we will actually present the people that they spoke to, and we'll present the chain of custody to get to the documents that they reviewed. So we'll be able to present a lot of the evidence that will rebut, even more sufficiently than we've already done, all the arguments being made by David's counsel. That being said, ultimately what happened is that Celeste Rivas Hernandez shows up at his house on April 23rd, 2025 at night and is never heard from again. 5 months go by and her body is dismembered and found in 2 different bags, a cadaver bag and a black trash bag in the front trunk of his Tesla. He, as the evidence has shown, has ordered basically different types of saws, an inflatable pool, contents of which were found, some of the contents of which were found in her bones when the bones were discovered, cadaver bags. He took trips to Santa Barbara, which is probably 100 miles away from his home, the night in which she is last seen. And then eventually her identification is found on the road that the Tesla, we were able to track the Tesla to in Santa Barbara County. So there's a tremendous amount of circumstantial evidence. And as you're aware, circumstantial evidence is as powerful, and the jury will be instructed in this, as direct evidence. That's how we're going to convict David. 100%.
Circumstantial evidence, of course, is very powerful. The defense did something interesting, though, because we were waiting to see what they may say, how they might challenge the evidence, kind of a preview of what a trial would look like. What I took away from it this idea, do you really know what happened in the house? Is it possible that maybe she did something to herself that night, or that David acted in self-defense, that she physically threatened him in the way they kind of references to these messages that she allegedly sent him? I think there was a question about, can you definitively say what happened in that home? And what was your reaction to them presenting that form of defense?
We anticipate all different types of defenses. When you basically have done the crime, your lawyers are going to come up with all different possibilities of what could have occurred, other than what the evidence will show beyond a reasonable doubt as to what did occur. We know, for instance, that the reason we can sort of time frame the time that she arrives at the house is we'll know that from the Uber driver. We can also time frame the time that he then calls her cell phone and effectively asks her where she is. We'll go ahead and send a text message to that in that respect, which is about 20 or 22 minutes later. And we know that she is at the house. She's arrived at the house. She never leaves that house. He then goes again to Santa Barbara that night. Again, it's not something that you necessarily would do if nothing had happened at your house, and you certainly wouldn't order a shovel thereafter, and you wouldn't order different types of chainsaws, you wouldn't order an inflatable pool, and you wouldn't order cadaver bags if, in fact, something happened. And as was pointed out during the preliminary hearing, even if at some point she injured herself or anything like that, at no point does he call 911 or take any steps whatsoever to deal with the fact that she ended up bleeding out that night in his home. So again, we don't have to prove at trial, the standard of beyond all possible doubt.
Right.
That's not the standard as you're aware. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. And we think when a jury uses its common sense and reason, and here's the overwhelming timeline that we have put together that points in only one direction, which is to his guilt on first-degree murder, we think a jury will then eventually come to that resolution.
Do you have a theory about what happened to that purported missing chainsaw? Because there was a conversation about whether or not that might have been used in anywhere, allegedly used, and whether or not it was, discarded at some point. Do you have any theory that you're going to present regarding that chainsaw?
All our theories, and more importantly, all the evidence that we're going to present will be in that court of law to a jury, to get that unanimous verdict.
So let me ask you this about a trial. And the reason I bring this up is, look, I was just reading the transcripts. I was reading the recording about what happened in that courtroom. The photos that were shown of Celeste's body, the allegedly sexually graphic photos that were found or allegedly found on David's phone, it was difficult for me to even read it. As I'm looking at this, I'm wondering, do you want to spare a jury from having to view any of this? Do you want to spare the family from having to view any of this? The reason I'm asking, is there room in any way? Is there a road, a path out there whereby you would work out some sort of plea deal with David to avoid any of this? And look, I have to call it out, the death penalty hasn't been announced yet.
So you are correct. Because it's a first-degree murder with special circumstances case here in California, the punishment can either be life in prison without the possibility of parole or the death penalty. As far as the death penalty goes, we go through a very rigorous process in my office, using the most senior attorneys in the office to evaluate every aggravating and mitigating factor that will be presented. We will be looking forward to getting a presentation by David's lawyers that will inevitably present the mitigating factors. We'll be speaking with the victim's family. Certainly we'll look at the evidence. Whether or not David wants to come forward with some offer, David and his counsel are always free to make an offer. Until and unless an offer is made that we think comports with the evidence and obtains the justice for the Hernandez family, we will be proceeding to go to trial.
All right, interesting stuff. My thanks again to DA Nathan Hochman. All right, coming up, another case that we're following. Nolan.
Okay, so there's that. Another thing that happened, there's no update. There's no update on the Lively v. Wayfarer situation. Yeah, there's nothing. So the last thing that happened was on July 13th. We got all of this information. We got an opposition brief from Elle and Garofalo for the Wayfarer parties against Lively, who was seeking $8 million fucking dollars. Absolutely ridiculous. I guess we could read that for a little minute. That's fun. It's very short, so to the point. Declaration of Ellen S. Garofalo in support of the Wayfarer party's opposition to plaintiff Blake Lively's motion for attorney's fees pursuant to California Civil Code 47.1. Count 2 asserted a defamation claim against Miss Lively in the New York Times, alleging Miss Lively provided false and defamatory statements to the Times, which the Times published in a story coinciding with the filing of Miss Lively's California Civil Rights Department complaint. Defamation was only one of 9 causes of action. The others included civil extortion, false light, breach of the implied covenant, intentional interference with contract and prospective economic advantage, negligent interference with prospective economic advantage, promissory fraud, and breach of implied in fact contract. Okay. On March 20th, 2025, Ms. Lively moved to dismiss the Wayfair complaint and for attorney's fees pursuant to 47.1. On June 9, 2025, the court dismissed the Wayfair complaint, including count 2 for defamation against Ms. Lively and the Times on privilege grounds, and denied Ms. Lively's request for fees under Section 47.1 without prejudice. On September 8, 2025, Ms. Lively moved for fees and costs, treble damages, and punitive damages pursuant to 47.1. On January 14, 2026, in its separate state court action under New York's anti-SLAPP statute, the Times moved for summary judgment and sought $181,622.70 in attorney's fees in connection with the Wayfair party's claims against it. By the way, that was decided, and they got $171,000 plus. I can't remember the exact total. Maybe we can find that in the docket updates. Hold on. All right. Oh, there's new news. Okay. $171,616.50. Okay, and it says here on the 27th, 2026 of July, Harco filed a joint motion for an extension to current plea schedule granted by Judge Lyman. So that's the separate insurance case. Okay. The current deadline for defendants to respond to Harco's complaint is July 28, 2026. No previous requests for adjournments or extensions of time have been made regarding this deadline. And that's from Evan Shapiro. Okay. All right, so that's that. On June 12, 2026, the court granted Ms. Lively's motion for fees and costs under 47.1, but denied her request for treble and punitive damages. Boop, boop. And then it says, I have reviewed Ms. Lively's fee motion and the attached declarations of Michael Gottlieb, Ezra Hudson, and Diana Kantner. The shortcomings in Ms. Kantner's qualifications and analysis are described on pages 2 through 4 of the opposition, without establishing any experience or expertise in allocating recoverable and non-recoverable attorney's fees under Section 47.1 or any statute, or providing a proper foundation for her opinions, including a showing of familiarity with the legal claims, facts, or issues relevant to this litigation. Ms. Kantner separated fees into 3 buckets. 1, fees relating exclusively to the Wayfair action, i.e. defensive costs. 2, fees relating exclusively to the Lively action, offensive costs. And 3, fees relating to both the Wayfair and Lively actions intertwined. Ms. Kantner then prepared spreadsheets of 2 categories of reportedly recoverable fees: $2,267,288.75 in fees relating exclusively to the Wayfair action, and $5,228,238.12 in fees Ms. Kantner deemed intertwined, for a total fee request of $7,495,526.87. Neither Wilkie nor Manat, the firms from Lively, provided billing invoices or receipts for the $539,514.01 in costs Ms. Lively seeks to recover. Instead, Ms. Kantner relied on spreadsheets, in quotes, provided by counsel to segregate allegedly coverable fees from non-recoverable fees, and she determined which fees should be assigned to each category. Ms. Kantner's summaries include descriptions that do not appear to have been taken verbatim from the billing statements, and she admits that she edited entries in the spreadsheets provided by Ms. Lively's counsel to exclude any portion of work descriptions that might disclose privileged or confidential information. She also calculated reasonable expenses and costs at $539,514.01 without explaining how she calculated that amount, whether she was provided with vendor invoices or how she determined what was necessary or reasonable, other than to state that she applied the same principles used in the schedules that allegedly reflect reasonable and recoverable fees. Neither Wilkie nor Manat provided receipts or invoices to substantiate their costs. And then she just goes down more and more into the weeds about all of the billing and stuff and how it comes out of nowhere, basically. Given the lack of foundational information and the breadth of the fees and costs sought by Miss Lively for the dismissal of a single cause of action pursuant to an earlier motion to dismiss, it is impracticable, if not impossible, to isolate or dissect each entry in Miss Cantner's summaries. Under my direction and supervision, attorneys in my law firm converted the schedules attached to Miss Cantner's declaration from PDF format into Excel after Miss Lively's counsel failed to provide the Excel spreadsheets when requested. Well, damn. More on that. Due to deficiencies in the entries in Miss Cantner's summaries, it was not possible to prepare a comprehensive listing of all entries that fall into the various categories. Thus, the exhibits are illustrative only. More about the deficiencies here. Let's skip to the end. You can read this at your leisure, of course. It'll be in the show notes. Everything's in the show notes. Oh, this was fun. This is an interesting part. 31. Ms. Lively also seeks attorney's fees for travel time untethered to any identified proceeding or event related to the defense of the defamation claim. Exhibit 11 identifies 47.5 hours and $55,145.30 in travel-related entries. For example, on February 4, 2025, Ms. Hudson recorded 10.0 hours or $11,610 in a block that included travel from New York to LA, social media commentary, calls with unidentified persons, and multiple litigation work streams. On February 4, 2025, Ms. Rosser recorded 4.5 hours or $4,617 for her travel from New York to LA, and on May 30, 2025, Ms. Hudson recorded 5.5 hours or $6,385.50 for travel from Washington, D.C. to LA. These entries do not identify a hearing, deposition, court-ordered appearance, compensable event, or other claim-specific purpose, and because several are block-billed with other tasks, they may obscure additional non-compensable travel time. The largest category, $374,415.14 in experts and consultants expenses, includes a single $173,276.50 charge described only as GBX Holdings LLC, as well as generally described e-discovery sources, but Ms. Cantner does not provide invoices, identify the work performed, or allocate those expenses to the defamation defense. It is clear from Mr. Gottlieb's declaration that the approximately $173,000 in costs charged by GBX Holdings LLC were incurred for the purpose of assessing the impact to Ms. Lively's reputation, if any, from the Wayfarer action. Similarly, Ms. Cantner's summaries identify $173,376.50 in 47.1 related GBX charges and include invoice descriptions for new impressions, assembling a damages approach, 47.1 impressions collection website and traffic analytics, calculation of impressions figures, coding social media posts, reviewing social media posts for use of the word defamation, and updating impression numbers. Those descriptions reflect damages and reputation impact work, not costs that are tied to defending the defamation claim itself. Ms. Lively also seeks $134,519.65 in computer research expenses for Westlaw, Bloomberg, Pacer, and similar charges that generally do not identify the word research topic or proceeding to which they relate, and she does not provide invoices, nor does Ms. Lively provide the firm's Westlaw and Lexus fee arrangements or otherwise explain how Ms. Cantner arrived at the requested amount. It goes on and on. Taken together, the Cantner Declaration and supporting materials show that Ms. Lively's request depends on categories of work that are unsupported, unallocated, redacted, vague, clerical, collateral, or facially connected to matters other than the defense of the defamation claim. The problems are cumulative rather than isolated. Many entries combine multiple issues, including block billing, internal strategy communications, redactions, work for other parties or actions, media-related work, travel, and administrative tasks. These summaries do not permit a reliable determination of what amount was reasonably and necessarily incurred for the defense of the defamation claim. And then ultimately, in the brief, we'll go to the end of that. Then you can read it again at your leisure. I'm just going to breeze through. I love the beginning, though. I do want to highlight that part. Introduction. This is anything but a typical fee motion. 47.1, Lively claims that, pursuant to 47.1, she claims that she is entitled to a stunning $7,495,526 in attorney's fees for 7,070.20 hours billed by no fewer than 82 timekeepers to obtain the dismissal of a single defamation claim at the pleading stage. In contrast, the New York Times is seeking $181,000 in a fee request filed in state court for its motion to dismiss precisely the same defamation claim. Of course, Lively could not possibly have spent over 7,000 hours preparing the portion of the motion to dismiss directed to Wayfarer's defamation claim. Rather, to arrive at this extraordinary sum, Lively broadly construes 47.1 to cover not only reasonable fees for work necessary to defend Wayfarer's defamation claim, but fees for work on directed to, that's a typo, directed to Wayfarer's 8 non-defamation claims and Lively's 15 affirmative claims, which Lively characterizes as inextricably intertwined. However, Lively's affirmative claims including those for sexual harassment, were unsuccessful, either dismissed on summary judgment or voluntarily, and she was therefore not entitled to fees under FEHA or Title VII. She nevertheless now seeks to recover such fees under the guise of Section 47.1. Her fee request is so over-inclusive that it sweeps in fees for researching her own liability for perjury arising from her California CRD claim and her Rule 11 motion, for which the court has already denied fees. Okay, let's skip to the end. In sum, Lively fails to meet her burden to present credible evidence showing that the fees and costs she seeks to recover are reasonable, and accordingly her fee motion should be denied in its entirety. At minimum, the court should substantially reduce the request, using as a benchmark the $181,622.70 the Times sought after securing dismissal of Count 2 on its separate motion to dismiss, the same outcome Lively achieved. So there's that. In other news, or related news, this interview seemingly was conducted at 2 different points in time because you never see them in the same room, so it's a little weird, but this was a big interview that happened. I'm going to try and skip to the end a little bit of what Brian Friedman, the attorney for the Wayfarer parties, has said in regard to the case that was settled with Lively before all this fee shit. Okay, this is about Taylor, so we'll go to that part.
Is, there were, they could have, through a jury consultant done focus groups and seen what people in that jurisdiction, average everyday, jurors of people's peers, would say about the evidence. And if they would have seen what, our results indicated, they would have seen that she was going to suffer an overwhelming loss at trial.
I want to talk about another subject. I don't know how much you're able to add, but I want to bring Taylor Swift up because a lot of fans are conflicted with her. There's a lot of bad texts that make it seem like she's mean-girling and sort of agreeing with Blake, but there's not a lot to sort of reveal aside from did she really know everything? Was there really an anger at the end of it that she was betrayed by Blake herself, hence why they seem to be not friendly now and not at the wedding, etc. You also alluded to speaking to someone on her camp to giving information that said Blake was asking her to delete things and stuff. Taylor's pretty litigious. She never came out to dispute that, so I'm left to think, there was some serious smoke there. Is there anything else you're allowed to or able to elaborate on sort of clearing that up for anybody who's sort of still wondering how involved Taylor was or was throughout this process, or does she dislike Justin?
Yeah, I obviously don't know because I wasn't there at the time to know exactly the extent of her involvement. I do know that the multiple telephone calls that I had with someone very close to her, where I was at my home, my wife was there listening to it. It's not like I was the only one listening to it. They were long telephone calls. And they clearly indicated that this was not something that was Taylor's idea. This was something that was Blake's idea. And this was what was told to me on the phone, and that, Blake wanted Taylor to come out and support her, and there were threats made that if she didn't do that, that they were going to release text messages. That's, that can be verified by people that were listening to that conversation, those conversations, because there were multiple.
What's wild to me is she did it. Why do you think Blake allowed that to ultimately happen and didn't end it there? It still blows my mind of what her end game was, because she ultimately destroyed her biggest dragon in this process. Did you ever come to terms with what sort of Blake's mindset really was trying to do here?
Well, I actually don't know if we've seen everything or not. I mean, right? Like, who really knows what ultimately might have been held back? But certainly what was produced, showed a level of involvement that was, much deeper than that people were led to believe based upon Taylor's PR statements that were made. But that level of involvement was also, as you see, it's Blake asking her to get involved. It's not Taylor volunteering to get involved.
There was a lot of pro Blake in the beginning. It wasn't. But let
me clarify here from Jamie. I mean,
let's skip ahead.
That video of the not described of any of it.
Okay. Here's the end of it. But I also want to preface this, I'm only watching this part because he chose to talk to Andy. Senor. I do not support. I just wanted to be clear. Stop making AI thumbnails. That applies to you as well, Popcorn Planet. You're on my last nerve. You talk about AI, you say bad things about it, you say it's destroying the planet, yet you use it. You're hypocritical. Anyway. And again, I really do not like that we don't see them in the same place here. I don't know if this was filmed in two different locations, because the room, I can't tell if it's the same room. And I don't know if... I know they're talking to each other, though, because the way they talk. But it's weird, the way it's set up. I don't love it. But, yeah, he's got a documentary about this coming up, and he'll probably try and sell that on his website. But this is what we got for right now. So let's wrap it up, and then I will finally wrap up the show.
There was a willingness to turn over all of those documents to the public and say, you know what? Look, we're not afraid of any of it. This is who our guys are and our gals are. This is who they are. And, this is in real time what they said. This is in real time what Blake said and what she did. You saw that she threatened not to promote the film. You saw exactly that she invited him into the trailer. You saw that the circumcision discussions were not what they were purported to be, describing his genitals. You saw that it was a birthing video, not showing him porn. Right? Like you saw actually what it was when we put out the video of the dance scene. You saw what that was. When people could see it and read it and touch it and feel it and know that it was not manipulated is when it started to turn around. And that was based on authenticity. It was based on the website. It was based on putting everything out there and not being afraid of it. We weren't trying to hide evidence. We weren't trying to seal all of these documents. And I think the general public was very surprised when all of the sealed documents were released and you started to see what were Ryan Reynolds' true text messages. What was he really like? What were these text messages from Blake? What were they really like? It was all there in black and white.
Guys, that interview was so fantastic, and there was so much.
Okay, so yeah, that's the update on that. I put a lot in this episode because you're not going to get me for a while, and there was a lot that happened in July. It's a shitload. But yeah, going back to Glenn Hansard, please. Okay. I'm not playing this fucking song, so I'm going to sing it again because I don't care. come at me for my voice, I guess, but don't come at me for copyright on this song. But yeah, I did want to say that I have seen Glenn Hansard live at the at the Disney Hall for a performance, and it was very exceptional. And I also watched them perform together, these two, live at Amoeba Music a long time ago, but after once, obviously, as the Swell season. So that was a really fun experience. So I have seen both of these people live, and they're great. But I just wanted to say that before, and also say that there can be multiple things about people that are true, but we are not privy to all the information about these people. We don't know them personally. So maybe mind our own business. Let's just all mind our own business. Could we just, everybody mind their own business? If someone dies, do you have to talk about it? No. I am, because like I actually saw them live. But and also I enjoyed the music. Irrespective of whatever was going on, I enjoyed the music. I did watch the documentary, The Swell Season, though, and I enjoyed a lot of that too. But yeah, like, shit doesn't work out. They became friends, or they were friends after the relationship, and they were friends until he died. And she's probably going through a lot of hell, along with his family, his new family. So there, that is for that. We don't know what anyone's going through. So, but he was pretty open in his music, which was really nice to see. And was seemingly, very charitable and helpful, and busked even in recent years. Okay, I'm going to end the song